Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a dating show where the bad guys aren't just a whisper or, a vague suspicion. They're actually an admitted, intentional part of the game. Labeled. Right from the start. Welcome to F-Boy Island. It's a show that dives, like headfirst, into the messy, often frustrating world of modern dating, but it does it with this reality TV twist that's, well, it's probably wilder and maybe more calculated than you'd first expect. So our mission today is really to pull back the curtain on this pretty audacious concept. We've got a whole stack of sources, everything from candid behind-the-scenes interviews with creators and cast to like the really heated fan discussions you find on Reddit and forums. And we're going to use all that to uncover the surprising truths, the the meticulously calculated chaos, really, that makes F-Boy Island tick. We'll explore how this show, with this provocatively blunt name, actually came about, what really happens when the cameras stop rolling, and maybe the most interesting part, just how real any of it truly is.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here is that F-Boy Island isn't just, another piece of throwaway entertainment. It's not just for laughs or surface drama. It actually serves as this remarkably sharp, sometimes uncomfortable reflection of a very specific, almost universal part of contemporary dating culture.
Right.
It absolutely holds a mirror up to the prevalence of deception, the constant guesswork, and that often frustrating experience of trying to figure out someone's genuine intentions in a world full of curated online personas and fleeting connections.
Hmm.
So throughout this deep dive, we'll be dissecting exactly how the show is constructed, both what you see on screen and what happens off screen with the production teams to provoke those kinds of aha moments about human behavior, maybe media manipulation, and the very nature of trust itself. We'll get into the layers of intention from the creators, Ilan Gale and the team, and then the frequently unpredictable but always revealing outcomes from the contestants. It really is a compelling case study in, engineered reality.
Okay, so let's start with the basics, the fundamental setup. What exactly is the premise when you strip away all the bells and whistles of F-Boy Island?
Well, at its absolute core, the show introduces three single women to this big pool of men, right? All vying for their attention, their affection.
Standard enough so far.
Yeah, but here's the critical twist. This is the hinge of the whole show's unique appeal. Roughly half of these men are self-proclaimed nice guys. These are individuals who genuinely claim they're seeking a real long-term relationship. And their goal, beyond finding love, is to split a pretty substantial $100,000 prize with the woman they end up choosing in the finale.
Okay, and the other half.
The other half. These are the F-boys, men who are upfront with the producers and each other, at least about being on the island primarily to win that entire $100,000 prize for themselves, often with, little to no intention of pursuing a serious, lasting relationship afterward.
Right, so the main challenge, the engine of all the drama, really falls squarely on the women. They have to somehow figure out who's who. Often navigating this minefield of initial charm, carefully crafted, misleading personas, and maybe even some genuine romantic sparks mixed in there. It's a huge gamble, start to finish. Not just for the guys chasing the money, but for the women's hearts, and honestly, for our perception as viewers of what's even real.
And that whole explicit setup, it's far from arbitrary. It actually springs directly from the real-world experiences that shaped the creator Ilan Gale's vision. Now, Gale, he's a veteran producer, came from the massive Bachelor franchise.
Right, he knows reality dating.
He absolutely does, and he observed this pervasive, often disheartening FK boy phenomenon that had become, almost endemic in modern dating. We're talking about a dating landscape just dominated by swipe culture, where ghosting is totally commonplace, and where someone's true intentions are often hidden behind a digital facade. Gale wanted to create a show that didn't just entertain, but actively mirrored the actual complexities and, frankly, the frustrations of real-world dating. His aim was to bring that often unspoken, sometimes painful experience right to the forefront, that constant nagging question. Is this person genuinely interested in me, or are they just looking for a temporary thrill, personal validation, or some other kind of personal gain?
It makes the subtext text, essentially.
Right. Precisely. It makes those invisible, often manipulative undercurrents of modern romance visible. And the labels themselves, nice guy and F-boy, are really interesting because the creators are very deliberate about how they use them. They aren't meant as moral judgments, despite how we as viewers might instinctively react to them. Instead, they're intended purely as descriptors of a person's dating intentions and their approach to relationships.
Okay, so just descriptive.
Yeah. A nice guy is simply someone who openly says they want a committed relationship and is honest about that. An F-boy, conversely, is focused on casual fun or self-serving personal game, often almost by necessity at the expense of honesty or someone else's feelings. And this non-judgmental approach by the creators is actually quite clever. By defining the terms by intention rather than inherent morality, they're not just categorizing, they're inviting us, the viewers, to project our own biases and experiences onto those labels.
Okay.
Which makes the inevitable reveals, when a perceived nice guy turns out to be an F-boy, or maybe even vice versa, so much more impactful and honestly sometimes disturbing. Because it reflects that real-world challenge of judging character just by initial presentation.
And the money. The $100,000.
Oh, it's definitely not just a prop. It is a massive, tangible motivator for the men. It transforms the whole thing from just a romantic pursuit into this intense, high-stakes game of chance. That financial incentive is what genuinely keeps viewers guessing right up until the very last moment of the finale. It adds this layer of strategic calculation to what might otherwise just be a love story.
And guiding us, the audience, through this. This whole maze of intentions and potential manipulations are the hosts. In the U.S., it's the incredibly sharp, quick-witted comedian Nikki Glazer.
Who is perfect for it.
Absolutely. And for the Australian version, we have Abby Chatfield. Both are really well known for their frank, unapologetic, kind of sex-positive approaches. They act as these wonderfully blunt, comedic spirit guides and, very astute audience surrogates. They basically say what we're all thinking at home.
Yeah, they do.
What's really wild about Glazer's involvement, though, is that she's now an executive producer on the show, too. She actually thought she was being invited to be a contestant initially.
No way.
Yes. She didn't realize she was auditioning to host. But she just seamlessly transitioned into the host and EP role, and she's widely credited with shaping the show's incredibly distinct, often deliciously awkward comedic tone. Apparently, she even improvises or writes a lot of her own hilariously candid lines.
That makes sense. It feels very authentic to her.
Yeah, it adds this layer of authenticity and spontaneous humor that feels hard to replicate.
And her role is absolutely vital. It goes way beyond just introducing segments. Nikki Glazer really acts as the audience's voice, right? Articulating the very questions and cynical observations we're all thinking at home, but with her signature, just razor-sharp wit. She brings this meta-commentary to the whole thing, acknowledging the inherent absurdity of reality TV, while also, genuinely seeming to root for the women. That self-awareness is totally key to the show's appeal.
Okay, so that's the setup. Let's move into the casting. Because this seems like where F-Boy Island really starts to carve out its unique identity compared to other dating shows.
Definitely. Its unique kind of dual approach to selecting the contestants is a major part of its strategic appeal, and exactly why it generates such compelling dynamics.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. Ilan Gale, the creator, famously revealed they essentially cast the men as two separate shows. It's not just finding diverse personalities, it sounds like a strategic engineering of distinct intentions.
Exactly right. For the nice guys, the casting process was handled apparently like a very traditional dating show. They were actively looking for men who would genuinely put their best foot forward for a relationship. The kind of earnest, relationship-minded guys you'd expect on a standard romance reality series.
Okay, the classic type.
The classic type. But then you have the F-boys. And this was an entirely different brief, a really stark contrast in recruitment philosophy. These guys were specifically sought out as, and this is a quote, guys who want to be on a fun summer show, meet women, bro out, and have fun on an island.
A completely different motivation.
Totally different criteria. Designed not necessarily for long-term love, but for entertainment value, maybe short-term gain, and specifically to challenge the women's perceptions and, make the game harder.
So this dual casting approach, it sounds absolutely central to the show's dynamic tension. It's like a heightened, almost laboratory-like study of modern dating.
That's a great way to put it. The showrunners, Sam Dean and Bill Dixon, they explained they don't just look for guys who say they're an F-boy or a nice guy. They look for contestants who genuinely believe what they're saying about their status at that moment. They're really interested in exploring the nuances and levels within each category, understanding that nobody is purely one thing, right? Mm-hmm. So for the F-boy spectrum, this could range from the truly strategic, almost, as they put it, right side of maniacal individuals, think Mercedes Knox, who are just laser focused on the game and themselves.
Okay.
All the way to players who, maybe ironically, might have been cheated on by every girlfriend themselves. And this latter type, while still having F-boy tendencies, might actually possess a surprising capacity for change or reform, maybe having experienced the pain of deception firsthand.
So they're not just looking for cartoon villains.
Not at all. They want complex characters. And similarly, on the nice guy spectrum, they also look for diversity. You might get the truly reformed guys who genuinely want to move past old ways, or the endearing, maybe unaware mama's boy types who are sweet but a bit naive,
Right.
all the way to more fully formed, confident gentlemen. What's really crucial for the casting team, though, is this belief in the importance of evolution.
The potential for change.
Exactly. The idea that a constantly static F-boy, someone who never changes, never learns, never shows vulnerability, well, that would eventually get a little old for viewers. They want to see potential for transformation, for genuine human development. And this belief that people can change for the right person, Ilan Gale actually stated this is an alternative purpose for the show. It positions F-Boy Island not just as a game, but maybe as a genuine social experiment, trying to see if playboys can truly become better partners and if nice guys can finally get the recognition they deserve in a world that often overlooks them.
That makes so much sense. Injecting that potential for growth really elevates it. But what about the women? How do they pick the female leads who are so central to navigating this male minefield, the three individuals who hold the power of elimination?
Yeah, for the female leads, the criteria are incredibly specific, and it feels like they're deliberately designed to subvert some typical reality dating show tropes. First, they need women who are authentically willing to be expressive and totally honest about their feelings, the good, the bad, the ugly.
No holding back.
No holding back. Second, and this is crucial, they must have demonstrable past experience dealing with F-boys. But, and this is the vital distinction, they are no longer interested in actively pursuing them. They're done with the games.
Got it. Wised up.
Exactly. However, they still need to be open to the idea of a reformed F-boy, someone who genuinely seems to have learned from their past and might be ready for a real connection. Think of CJ Franco from season 1, who fans even called an F-boy tamer because she seemed to see that potential for change. But maybe the most pivotal criteria for the women is that they absolutely must get along. They have to work as a genuine team rather than falling into that all too common reality TV trap of fighting over the men.
Oh, that's refreshing.
It really is. As the creators emphasized, the women here are the catches. And this dynamic was beautifully shown in season 1 with Nakia, CJ, and Sarah. They formed this strong bond. They even developed a secret code word.
No, wait, what was it?
Pterodactyl. They'd use it to signal when one of them needed immediate help or advice from the others in a tricky, potentially manipulative situation with one of the guys.
That's brilliant, like a support system.
Exactly. This sisterhood transforms the show from a potential catfight into more of a collective strategic endeavor. It really places the power firmly in the women's hands.
That collaborative dynamic is such a welcome departure from the usual reality dating stuff, truly putting the women in the driver's seat. Okay, so beyond their individual personalities and dating histories, I imagine producers are also keenly focused on just the overall entertainment value a cast brings, right?
Yeah.
It is a TV show, after all.
So, absolutely. While genuine connection and authentic stories are important, producers also prioritize group camaraderie among the men and, the overall entertainment value of the entire ensemble. They're constantly looking for people who can stand out in a crowd, people who aren't just going to be side characters blending into the background. For instance, the casting for season 2 was widely considered by the showrunners to be particularly successful because the women Tamaris, Mia, and Louise had such distinct characters and really strong individual voices. And then there's what Bill Dixon, one of the showrunners, affectionately calls the Marvel Cinematic Universe quality.
Huh. What does that mean?
It refers to the strategic decision to bring back familiar faces from previous seasons. We saw it with season 1, guys like Peter Park, Garrett Morosky, Casey Johnson showing up again in season 2. It adds layers of narrative continuity and definitely gets the fans engaged.
Oh yeah, people love seeing familiar faces.
Totally. And then in season 3, Mercedes Knox, Benedict Polizzi, Danny Louisa, all prominent figures from season 2, made this highly anticipated comeback. And it isn't just about nostalgia, it's strategic. It allows them to reintroduce specific character types, maybe to play a different role or continue an unresolved storyline. Garrett, for example, was described as a tricky one to bring back because after his big season 1 reveal, nobody would believe him as a nice guy again.
Right. The jig was up.
Exactly. But his sheer entertainment value and his capacity for drama made him perfect for a new kind of meta role, which just demonstrates the show's cleverness in using its own history.
That's a brilliant way to keep the audience invested and build on those previous storylines.
Okay, so with all this intricate casting, strategic game playing,
Yeah.
where exactly do they film these steamy, high-stakes series? The name F-Boy Island implies some exotic, isolated paradise.
And the production definitely delivers on that.
Yeah.
They take full advantage of the tropical title. Season 1, for instance, unfolded in the beautiful Cayman Islands, specifically on Grand Cayman.
Nice.
Season 2 moved to the stunning coastal town of Cabo San Lucas in Mexico, filming at this exclusive private villa called Casa Ocho, really providing that luxurious sun-drenched backdrop.
Okay.
And for listeners down under, the popular Australian adaptation found its tropical home base in Casuarina, New South Wales. Now, despite the sprawling feel you get on screen, it's actually a surprisingly fast-tracked process.
Really? How quick?
Well, for the Australian version, filming reportedly only took about 2.5 weeks.
Wow, that's intense. Super intense. Cameras are generally rolling roughly from, say, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, and often stretching even later for those highly dramatic elimination ceremonies, which can go well into the night.
Long days.
Very long days, especially for the women, typically around 10 hours. The men might have shorter days, maybe just a few hours, if they're not on a date or involved in a group activity.
So the logistics of pulling that off in such a short time in an exotic location
Yeah.
must be pretty intricate.
And what about the guys who get eliminated? They don't just vanish, right? You mentioned Limbro and Nice Guy Grotto.
Right, and this is where one of the most surprising production secrets comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Once a guy is eliminated, if he's an F-boy, he's dramatically banished to Limbro. On screen, this looks like an unglamorous, almost punitive tropical junkyard. Think bamboo huts, uncomfortable cots, maybe even hay-filled pillows.
Doesn't sound appealing.
Not at all. It often framed both on the show and by the host as this kind of reform school, complete with therapy sessions led by Nikki Glazer, aimed at helping them recognize their F-boy ways.
Okay. And the nice guys. Nice guys, if they get eliminated, are sent to the luxurious Nice Guy Grotto. It's depicted as a mansion brimming with comforts where they can sip pina coladas and seemingly bask in their virtue.
So, stark contrast.
Very stark. But here's the really surprising reality check. These dramatic Limbro and Nice Guy Grotto scenes, they are not filmed continuously as the eliminations happen over the main 2.5-week shoot.
Oh, how do they do it then?
Instead, and this is a significant production secret, most viewers would never guess the eliminated men are actually sent home from the island.
They leave.
They leave. And then later, they are all brought back to the filming location for a concentrated, intense 2-day shoot specifically for all their Limbro and Grotto segments.
Whoa. Okay, that changes things.
Right. It allows for maximum efficiency in capturing those reform and virtue storylines, but for contestant welfare, especially for those guys eliminated early who face a potentially long wait, the eliminated F-boys actually stay in comfortable hotels or houses offset. They're fed, given amenities.
So Limbro isn't that bad off camera.
Apparently not. Sometimes they even go on trips or excursions organized by production if they aren't needed for filming that day. It acknowledges the considerable time commitment from participants who might be out of the main game very early on. Some guys even got pretty resourceful, apparently converting their hotel rooms into makeshift gyms to stay busy.
Huh. Gotta stay fit for, well, whatever comes next.
Exactly. It's really a testament to the meticulous planning happening behind that facade of raw, rough reality.
That is quite the logistical feat and definitely a deep dive level reveal about how reality TV constructs its narratives. It sounds like a truly massive operation behind the cameras then, way more intricate than just a few cameras on an island.
Oh, it's a colossal undertaking. The sheer scale of production for F-Boy Island is immense. They basically transform what looks like a simple vacation villa into this high-tech surveillance hub.
How many people are we talking?
We're talking over 150 core crew members brought in from the USA, plus maybe an additional 50 to 100 local hires, all working incredibly long days, typically noon to midnight, 6 days a week, for about 5 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this includes a huge array of specialized roles. Producers meticulously crafting storylines, cinematographers capturing every single angle, lighting specialists, the gaffers sculpting the visual mood, a dedicated art department creating the sets, audio specialists making sure every whisper is caught, casting and talent managers keeping the contestant flow smooth, and of course, essential hair, makeup, and wardrobe teams.
It takes a village, as they say.
It really does. And some specific details really highlight the attention to detail. For example, the women have dedicated hair, makeup, and wardrobe teams to ensure they look camera-ready constantly, giving it that aspirational glamour you often see.
And the guys?
The men, on the other hand, typically wear their own clothes they brought from home. It adds to their more, maybe, everyman or bro aesthetic.
Interesting distinction.
Yeah. And while contestants are generally asked to keep their rooms tidy, production also arranges professional cleaning to maintain that pristine villa look. Interestingly, there's a strict no smoking policy inside the villas.
Okay. And you mentioned a photographer. Yeah, Julie Corsetti, a set photographer, shared her experience. She described the challenge of being told, get the shots, but don't ever be on camera, while navigating around 27 huge video cameras constantly rolling.
That sounds stressful.
Definitely. She also talked about the magic of lighting, watching the crew use bounce boards to redirect light and soften shadows, and using silks, those large translucent fabrics, to diffuse harsh sunlight. She called it magical light.
So, very controlled environments.
Very controlled. This meticulous control ensures even candid moments feel cinematic, enhancing the drama and aesthetic, even as it subtly removes some of the raw reality you might get otherwise.
That's an incredible amount of coordination. It makes you wonder, with so many moving parts, were there any unexpected hiccups or challenges the crew had to deal with during filming?
Oh, absolutely. Despite all the meticulous planning, reality TV is inherently unpredictable, right? Often the smallest things become big challenges. For instance, in season 2, contestant Nico Palalis developed a pretty nasty eye issue, probably a sty.
Oh.
Yeah, producers thought it was likely a combination of the dusty environment in Mexico, lack of sleep from the intense schedule, and just general stress, especially right before a high-pressure event like the mansplain. It's a reminder of the physical toll.
True. Anything else?
Another minor but apparently recurring challenge was Tamara Sepulveda's very distinctive bright pink hair in season 2. Visually striking, yes, but apparently incredibly high maintenance. It needed frequent touch-ups from the stylist to look consistent on camera throughout the shoot.
The things you don't think about.
Exactly. And on a more serious note, a surprisingly significant behind-the-scenes safety concern was the fear of contestants actually falling into the pool on the elimination stage, especially during those highly emotional final moments.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can see that being a worry.
Totally. So they implemented strict safety protocols, making sure lights were well positioned to illuminate the edges, ensuring no alcohol was consumed right before eliminations, and always having crew walk contestants through the stage area beforehand so they knew the layout.
Smart. Safety
Okay.
first.
Definitely. These seemingly small details really contribute to the polished, safe final product we see, highlighting the crew's diligence in managing both the on-screen drama and the off-screen welfare of everyone involved.
Okay, so with all that careful construction, all those deliberate setups, the dramatic moments, the million-dollar question that basically plagues all reality shows comes up.
Yeah.
How much of F-Boy Island is truly real? And with this show, that question feels especially resonant, given its whole meta-commentary on dating and deception. It tells you some men are faking it. So it's only natural for audiences to extend that skepticism to the show itself.
Absolutely.
In fact, many fans on Reddit and other forums have been pretty vocal, calling the show heavily scripted, painfully fake, even overproduced. They feel certain moments were just too convenient or unbelievable.
And this is the constant discussion point for all reality TV, isn't it? It really comes down to understanding the difference between, say, outright scripting, giving people lines, and the more subtle forms of manipulation that definitely happen. The established industry practice is contestants don't read pre-written scripts. They're not memorizing lines. However, producers absolutely suggest, encourage, and yes, sometimes manipulate people into following certain storylines, having specific conversations, or reacting in ways that serve the show's narrative arc. And remember, Ilan Gale came straight from The Bachelor.
A masterclass in producer influence.
Exactly. A franchise notoriously known for those tactics, expertly guiding narratives without overtly scripting dialogue. Fans often point to several pieces of evidence for this manipulation on F-Boy Island. For instance, that predictable pattern in the finale where almost each possible scenario happens. You know, a nice guy splits the money, an F-Boy takes it all, or maybe the most dramatic, an F-Boy chooses to split.
Yeah, it can feel a bit too neat sometimes.
It can. And viewers often found the choices the women made, like Sarah choosing Garrett in season 1 after everything, to be dumb or clearly producer influence, which led to a lot of frustration online.
Okay. Any specific moments people point to?
Oh, yeah. Remember that really dramatic moment in season 1 when Corey and Casey supposedly broke out of limbo and somehow hitchhiked all the way back to the main villa?
Or bearably, yeah. That seemed unlikely.
Very unlikely. Many viewers immediately called that 100% fake, questioning the logistics, the sheer convenience for the plot. Then there's the common practice of ITMs, those in-the-moment interviews.
Where they talk to the camera.
Right. They're designed to feel like a contestant's thoughts in real time. But the reality is, those are often filmed all on one day after the show has wrapped.
Oh, so not in the moment at all.
Not really. The profound implication is these aren't spontaneous reactions to unfolding events. They are filtered recollections. They might be influenced by producer prompts or, crucially, by the person knowing how everything ultimately played out. It fundamentally blurs the line between genuine emotion and a crafted performance.
That really makes you question what you're seeing as real-time insight.
It does. And remember the controversy in season 2 around Mia's alleged pinky promise to Danny? That was a huge topic. Producers defended it, saying she was very torn and maybe it was just pillow talk, but they admitted they didn't have specific footage of the promise itself.
Leaving room for doubt.
Exactly, leaving room for viewer speculation about its authenticity and whether it was maybe played up for drama.
Okay, so on one side you have fans crying foul, feeling maybe a bit manipulated themselves. But how do the producers and creators defend the show's reality, or at least its authentic moments, against these criticisms? What's their perspective?
Well, the showrunners, Sam Dean and Bill Dixon, they're actually quite candid about the limitations imposed by reality TV editing. They talk about the sheer volume of raw footage, 23 cameras shooting 14 hours a day.
That's stacked.
It is. And all of that then needs to be compressed into 40 minutes for just one episode. This massive compression means a lot of material, even genuinely interesting or funny stuff, just has to be cut to keep the main narrative flowing and paced correctly. They gave a great example with Jay Brand from season 2. Remember him? The nice guy. He later told fans on Reddit he had much deeper, more extensive conversations with Tamaris than what actually aired, and he was interested in other women too. Dean and Dixon openly confirmed Jay Brand was totally correct. They said while he had great conversations with Tamaris, those relationships were not romantic in nature and were making a dating show. Dixon even joked he wished he could just make a Jay Brand TV show because he had so much good content that just wasn't romantic or dramatic enough for the final cut.
So lots gets left on the cutting room floor.
Tons. They even mentioned there were 50 sketches from Limbro that are cut entirely. Imagine the stuff we missed. Maybe an F-boy interpretive dance explaining his intentions? Who knows? It really makes you appreciate the editor's challenge. Balancing entertainment with narrative, meaning many genuinely real moments probably get sacrificed for the story.
So they admit they shape the narrative through editing.
Absolutely. And while they admit they look for suggestible people, individuals who might be more open to producer suggestions, easier to manipulate into storylines, they firmly emphasize that the genuine reactions, like Sarah's palpable shock and heartbreak when Garrett took the money in season 1, that was absolutely real.
They set the stage, but the feelings are real.
That's their argument. They curate the circumstances, but the emotions are authentic. And Ilan Gale, the creator, consistently stated the show's alternative purpose is to try to see if people can change for the right person. That implies a genuine social experiment underneath all the antics and production tricks, which kind of aligns with some of those viewer comments on Reddit, actually. People who hoped the show would be more of a meta-satire, Black Mirror-esque social experiment, a deeper commentary, and wished it felt a little more natural rather than overproduced. It's navigating that very fine, often blurry line between crafting a compelling narrative and maintaining perceived authenticity. The show really seems to thrive in that ambiguity.
That whole discussion about engineered reality versus genuine human reaction is fascinating. It definitely pushes the boundaries of what we expect from reality TV. So, okay, beyond the internal debates about its realness and all the behind-the-scenes stuff, how did critics and audiences actually feel about F-Boy Island? It certainly made a splash, but it sounds like it wasn't universally loved.
No, the critical reception was remarkably varied. It sparked a really wide range of strong opinions. On the positive side, you had outlets like Salon.com hailing it as highly self-aware and entertainingly self-deprecating, noting how well it reflects dating app culture.
Okay, seeing the commentary.
Yeah. Decider praised it as a truly modern dating show with a real sense of humor. The Washington Post lauded it for taking the F-boy part seriously, saying it created something encouraging about finding the right partner, not just any partner. Time magazine called it a funny, addictive, shrewdly executed twist on the genre. And both Time and the AV Club highlighted the refreshingly, relatively intelligent and perceptive female contestants who, crucially, have each other's backs, which subverts those typical catfight narratives.
So lots of praise for its self-awareness and the focus on the women.
Definitely. However, not all critics were fans. Variety, for instance, found it baffling and annoying. BuzzFeed News was quite harsh, calling it an anemic The Bachelorette, criticizing the lack of time to get to know people and finding the men one-dimensional. Yeah. Some critics, like Salon and Metro Weekly, noted that even though the women were smart, they sometimes seemed to shrug off the misogyny or just didn't always make astute choices with the men. And Jezebel went further, accusing it of being a limp gesture towards feminism, suggesting dating shows are maybe past the point of reinvention.
So definitely polarizing. It hit a nerve.
Yeah, it absolutely hit a nerve, for better or worse. It proved it was more than just another frivolous dating show. It sparked a lot of passionate conversation about its premise, execution, and commentary on gender and modern dating.
Okay, so beyond the critics, what about its journey across different platforms? And how far has this F-Boy Island concept actually managed to spread globally since it first launched?
Well, the show has had quite a tumultuous, unpredictable journey platform-wise. It really reflects the volatile landscape of streaming and network TV these days. It initially premiered on HBO Max back in July 2021.
Right, that felt like a good fit.
It did. And maybe surprisingly to some, it quickly became the streaming service's most watched reality program, showed its immediate appeal. However, in December 2022, in a move that shocked fans, HBO Max not only canceled it, but completely removed it from the service.
Wow, the great streaming purge.
Exactly. Part of that trend we saw post-merger. But F-Boy Island proved resilient. In March 2023, the CW, a traditional broadcast network, picked it up for a third season, which aired later that year.
From streaming darling to broadcast network lifeline.
Quite the shift. It really illustrates the complex, sometimes brutal world of content ownership and distribution right now. But beyond the U.S., F-Boy Island has definitely gained significant international traction. Its concept seems to have global appeal.
Where else has it popped up?
Well, BBC Three in the UK acquired the US show. HBO Max had also greenlit local versions for Denmark, Sweden, Spain, and the Netherlands, suggesting they believed the F-boy phenomenon was pretty universal. There's also been a New Zealand adaptation, aired on TVNZ, filmed in the Cook Islands. That version unfortunately faced a big controversy when a contestant, Wade Moore, had to be edited out after it came out he'd been on trial for attempted suffocation.
Oh, wow. That's serious.
Very serious. He was found not guilty, but the network still deemed his behavior deeply inappropriate and disrespectful, which highlights the ethical tightrope productions walk when contestants' real lives intersect with the show. And of course, there's the very successful Australian adaptation on Binge, hosted by Abby Chatfield.
So it's really traveled. That's quite the international footprint for such a specific, maybe provocative premise. And if the platform drama wasn't enough, you mentioned a legal challenge too. Someone claimed the idea was stolen.
Yes, there certainly was. In 2023, a producer named Jack Pugh filed a lawsuit, adding another layer of real-world drama. He claimed the concept for F-Boy Island was essentially taken from his own show idea, called Insta-Famous.
Okay, what was the allegation?
He alleged he shared his concept under an NDA with production companies linked to HBO. It raised serious questions about intellectual property in the very competitive entertainment world. However, there was a recent update. The court dismissed the complaint in February 2025.
So F-Boy Island won.
Yes. The court determined that Insta-Famous was not substantially similar to F-Boy Island or another show involved, Fake Famous. They found the total concept and feel were just too different, so that cleared a major legal hurdle for the franchise.
That's huge for them. It reaffirms their claim to the concept.
Okay, so finally, what's next for the F-Boy Island universe? Does this self-aware franchise have more tricks up its sleeve? It definitely seems like it. The franchise has plans for expansion, which indicates the creators believe the core concept still has plenty of room to evolve and grab new audiences. A gender-swapped spin-off, which was originally teased as F-Girl Island, has since been rebranded as Lovers and Liars.
Interesting name change.
Yeah, and it's actively in the works. This new version promises to reverse the dynamic, right? Likely having men try to figure out who among a group of women are genuinely looking for love versus those who are maybe just there for fun, fame, or, well, we'll see. So flipping the script. Exactly. This planned spin-off clearly signals the creator's confidence in the format's potential for continued popularity and finding new, equally intriguing twists on the whole human drama of modern dating.
So wrapping this all up, what does this mean for us, the viewers? F-Boy Island clearly isn't just another fleeting reality dating show that pops up and then disappears. It feels more like a meticulously calculated experiment, maybe a behind-the-scenes marvel of production and human psychology, and a surprisingly insightful reflection of our ever-evolving, sometimes bewildering dating landscape. All wrapped up in this package that's surprisingly self-aware, often hilariously blunt, From the nuanced casting of nice guys and F-boys to the clever, almost invisible manipulation of perceived reality in the edit, it really aims to capture the messy, funny, sometimes frustrating truth of trying to connect, with that big cash prize thrown in just to heighten the stakes and maybe expose true intentions.
Yeah.
It's definitely a show that forces you to question what you see, what you believe, and who you trust, both on the screen and maybe even off it.
Which really raises an important, almost philosophical question for you, the listener, to think about. Considering all these intricate layers, the production, the casting intentions, that constant subtle dance between reality and scripting or manipulation, does a show like F-Boy Island actually help us become better, maybe more discerning, at spotting an F-boy in our own real lives? Or does it simply normalize the chaos? Does it just turn the often frustrating reality of modern dating into this endlessly entertaining high-stakes drama that keeps us perpetually hooked watching the game play out? What do you think?